Hi, welcome to Talking About Israel and Stuff. My name is Tzach, Gefen, your host. With me as always in the studio, my good friend and co-host Mike Liebson.
Viva Italia!
Aha. Mikey, I know you don't care much for sports, but I wanted to get you in the studio. I know it's a Saturday, and you like to have your rest.
I do.
But I think this Giro d'Italia, is that how you pronounce it?
I think that's roughly how it's pronounced. Yeah.
It's. I think it's a big deal, and I like to see things like that happen. I know you're not a fan of sports.
Yeah. We've spoken sports a little bit, but
yes. But I think
it's complicated.
But it's easy to delineate between, the corruption within certain institutions, the kind of idolatry that happens in certain sports, where you don't really watch the sports for its spirit. You just kind of see someone and you put them on a pedestal and you worship them like.
Well, there's the whole social identification factor, bringing people together against a common rival or something like that. And I definitely appreciate the sociological value and the social psychology behind it. That kind of that part of it fascinates me. Yeah. It's the whole, capitalistic trappings that goes with it. That's the part that really bothers me.
So here, what really stopped my engine, stopped me in my tracks, kind of. This guy called Sylvan Adams. He's a Canadian billionaire.
Okay.
Around
Canadian
age 57, 58.
Right.
Now he's Israeli. He made Aliyah 2 years ago.
Oh, okay.
He wasn't always. Him and his London-born wife, Margaret. And they have been living here for about 2 years. And he's, this super accomplished cyclist. He's got a bunch of awards.
Oh, he himself.
Yes,
okay.
A bunch of awards. He's he comes from old money. He's basically his dad made all the money in the family. In the beginning, I think, in the real estate market in Canada. I'm pretty sure. I forget his name, Marcel Adams. I'm pretty sure his name is, and immigrant from I think Romania, a survivor of the Holocaust. World War II.
The father.
The father.
Gotcha.
And they made, but the thing is this bike race, right, that he helped to bring here. I mean, he put up $70 million of his own money.
Wow.
Sylvan Adams. And he got the government to put in another 30 to match it. And among various other elements that make this story interesting to me, I mean, it's ridiculous. There's, they say that about 800 million to 1 billion people every year watch this thing.
We'll be watching it like on TV, internet broadcasts everywhere.
Which boggles my mind because it's still people cycling a bicycle.
Right.
To me, it's just like, at least it's soccer.
You don't have the suspense of a race. Even like the Daytona 500 or something, which is a 500, mile or 500 laps or whatever, which takes several hours, 3, 4, 5 hours, I think. But at least it's one event in one day that's going to have like a suspenseful finish. This Giro d'Italia, so I guess it's the second largest. The Tour de France is the biggest international bike thing.
Probably.
And this is the second largest one. So apparently it takes course over 21 days of riding in 3 different places. I think it's starting in Israel, then it's going somewhere, and then it's in Italy for the ending segment. So it's 21 days. It's
and let me just stop
out.
You there because you mentioned places. It usually ends in Milan. This time they wanted to end in Rome.
Okay.
Symbolically to have from Jerusalem to Rome.
Interesting.
Yeah.
There is definitely, especially for the historical minded, a lot of kind of symbolism there. But my question is, why wouldn't it always have been Rome? Isn't this? It's a big kind of international thing. And generally, your capital city would be the one that kind of represents.
That's not in my notes, so.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's not in my notes. I have no idea why it doesn't always get to Rome.
But at any rate, I know that something you've spoken about before, and recently there was a judo just last week, I think.
Okay.
An Israeli judoka.
I heard something about it.
Took the gold medal. I think it was here in Israel. I'm not sure about that. At any rate, I remember back
we're not
6
big
months,
sports guys. So.
Like 6 months ago or something, we were talking about the judo.
Yes.
There was
they
a
had
tournament
thing where they were in
Saudi Arabia. Right. So back then it came up, and we've spoken about, I know that your position, and I certainly don't disagree with it categorically, but you're very adamant about the idea that through sports as an example of one cultural exchange, whether it's theater or academia, science, music, sports, whatever, is a good kind of stage or even like an incubator to kind of foster those international relations that
soft
we would,
diplomacy.
Right, soft diplomacy. There you go. So, that's kind of the long-term strategy. It's the not behind the curtains so much, but it's kind of just in the background, things that are happening. And then maybe a few years down the road when the politicians want to actually get together and sit down and talk, it's not such a, ground-shattering thing. It's a little bit more easy for them to wrap their head around. So I definitely appreciate the value of Israel. I understand also this year's Israel's first year participating in the Giro d'Italia, having an Israeli team.
Yeah, they
both
really
having an Israeli team as
really
well as having
a
a
fuss
race
over
here.
that. They made like a 24-person team that has like 5 Israeli riders on it, and they're the whole plan is to get them eventually. Actually, it's here we go. The riders will also wear new kits from a celebrated Italian manufacturer Nalini. The shoulders and sleeves of the updated jerseys prominently display the Perez Center's logo of a flying dove carrying an olive branch.
The Shimon Peres Center.
Yes. Each rider will carry the title of Peace Ambassador of the back of the jersey alongside his name and additional flag. And I find that, it's okay.
See, my initial reaction to that is more consumerist capitalists, pushing... In this case, the slogan or the motto that they're pushing happens to be, peace, and it's a good thing. Then the Shimon Peres, Center for I forget exactly what it's called, but he got a Nobel Prize, I think, also for making
Shimon Peres.
I believe at one point he got a Nobel Peace Prize.
I wouldn't be surprised
for helping broker the peace with Egypt or with Jordan. I don't remember, one or the other.
Okay.
But so they're pushing a really good message in this particular case. But again, it's they're pushing just the language that was used, and I saw you were reading there from a bit that you had seen somewhere, but just the language that they use, their shoulders will feature a da-da-da-da. Yes. They will be called ambassadors of peace. It's about
the wording
kind of this
here
branding.
Also the wording here, everybody's being very careful. I mean, when the guys who own the Giro race and organize it, when they first announced where it's going to be, they said West Jerusalem to Rome, and then the Israeli government, and the Minister of Tourism, the Minister of Sports, they said, like, listen, if you're not going to change that to Jerusalem, not West Jerusalem, we're pulling out. We're not funding this. And I
don't know if I'd have personally such an issue with that.
Well, the thing is, personally, we
because even
Jews
here, as Israelis in Hebrew, we refer to East Jerusalem, West Jerusalem, the old city, the new city. Like, at a certain point, you can just be calling it geographical designations. You're just specifying that. From the western part of the city to anyone who has a kind of a working knowledge of the city that gives you an understanding of the scope of the things.
Yeah, but some organizations are worried about it being whitewashing of the Palestinian plight, saying like, oh, we're not even acknowledging Eastern Jerusalem and that whole situation. And, it's a valid concern.
So that's the thing. I think that I'm not surprised to hear you say that the culture ministry or whoever said that if you don't change it to Jerusalem, because the changing it to just Jerusalem as opposed to West Jerusalem is a very right-wing position. As far as the Israeli political spectrum, it's a very right-wing. Unified Jerusalem. They're almost burying their heads in the sand and kind of ignoring the existence of this issue of East Jerusalem. In their minds, it's not an issue. All of Jerusalem is ours, and that's the end of it. I don't think they've thought that through necessarily all the way to the
or the fact that people
logical
conclusion. Pick up on that and talk about it and not just the show. It's basically every newspaper. They're also talking about the fact that the wording of where it's placed, and it's just not. But Sylvan Adams himself, he's quite a character. I mean, he seems like a very positive influence. He seems to be very, very delicate in his words. Like, he doesn't seem to be, an instigator. But, he said stuff like he wants to see Tel Aviv becoming Israel's Amsterdam when it comes to bikes. I know you want it to be Amsterdam.
For other reasons, yeah.
But, he was talking about the bike lanes and bike accessibility to the suburbs. And I think he donated about $21 million to building the middle. No, that was actually for the velodrome. He's trying to get a velodrome open here. You know, like a closed circuit for bikes.
Right, sure.
Thing. But he's also trying to organize more and more awareness of.
So it sounds like, I mean, he's donated, already just the numbers you've thrown out, over $90 million. That's a lot of money. So obviously, I mean, I definitely have a lot of respect for him in the sense that he's doing his philanthropy in his field of interest. It's something that speaks to him. Yeah. It's his way of trying to bring people together. It's his way of trying to, build bridges to a better future and all that. So I definitely applaud that. And without having done any research really on this guy or knowing anything about him, it seems like he's got his priorities pretty well in order, and he's doing just a good thing out of the goodness of his heart because he can and kind of where he sees fit.
And speaking of good things, like the way we always talk about the way we like to see people try to understand that Israel is normalized to a certain extent. Like you come here and it's very much like a European/Western kind of country. You got stores, you got roads, you got everything,
cafes, beaches,
built really well and organized really well. And that's one thing that he said that he wants to see. He used the very I like the rhetoric here. It's I want to show people how normal Israel is. That it is a modern, Western, pluralistic, and free nation where everyone gets along. I also want to use the tournament as a springboard to develop the sport in Israel and eventually produce Israeli champions. This area, I wouldn't doubt him. This is a singular sport. It's not a team sport. It's heavily reliant on training, on science, and
stamina, endurance, mental capacity.
Thank you. We do that well, and I think that we can. That's something.
You could see like Sayeret Matkal, ex-special forces soldiers looking at this, be like, oh, I can ride 150 kilometers a day for 3 weeks straight, like.
Well, that sounds feasible, but the thing is that you think about the fact that most people, like, I don't want to play like the generalization game, but certain people look at this country and they don't know very much, and all they see is the news, and all they see is basically deserts and shit. This is a place where it's televised, and they're taking them through. I think it was Jerusalem, so around Jerusalem. That's one leg.
The first day was in Jerusalem.
Another leg was right outside our door here.
Yeah, just they passed by the kibbutz today. Yes. A lot of people went out to see it.
It's pretty cool.
I saw some photos.
It was from Haifa to Akko to all around the place, all the way to Tel Aviv.
Right, and back down the coastal road. Yeah, back down to Tel Aviv.
Dreadful heat.
and then, the next leg happening tomorrow is from Beersheba to Eilat.
That is going to be beautiful.
They said something like 200 kilometers.
That's going to be beautiful. That's
a beautiful
really
ride.
Nice
That is the desert.
They're probably going down through the slalom, those
right, the windy kind of desert canyon road.
They got like a famous, very, very big one coming down like off the mountains, and never mind.
It's been a while since I've been down that way, but
it's all I'm saying is that's exactly what we want people to see. This is a country worth seeing, worth coming. I really don't care if people come here to do Aliyah. I gotta tell you, this is not my thing. I think this is a fantastic place for tourists. I think the tourism
they're two separate issues altogether.
Two separate issues, but what I'm always saying is the amount of tourists we get a year is ridiculous, and it's only explainable by the fact that there is war and people are afraid to come here.
Sure.
And I think that if there was peace ever in this region, I mean, that's how we'd make our money probably, is trade.
Tourism will skyrocket. It will definitely be... tourism should be rivaling high tech in Israel as far as the economy here. It's not, but I think, like you said, I agree with you that the primary overwhelming reason is the security situation, which is our kind of Israeli way of
we can't do anything. We got to put on
sugarcoating that. We call it the security situation. And then also in part just really poor publicity. I think that the Ministry of Tourism, I've seen a lot of their promotions and advertisements and advertising campaigns and things like that over the years, and I don't personally feel that they do a really good job of maximizing their resources and of showing. It just seems very kind of like a standard, very.
It's just
bland,
for everybody who's thinking like, okay, peace. So then what? Well, this is what tourism, trade, more collaboration with the world when it comes to tech and medicinal advancements. This is what we want. I mean, really, in the long run. Anyways,
absolutely.
Yeah, I just think this is fantastic.
We wouldn't mind it in the short run either, but realistically, there's a chance of it happening.
Yes.
looking a little bit further down the road. But it all starts with bicycles and judo and all this good stuff.
And like once we start, there was a movie made with an Iranian and an Israeli actresses. I don't want to offend anybody. Anyways,
acting professionals.
But that is also progression. Because they're both risking, the Israeli less, but the Iranian one is probably risking a lot of,
Right.
I'm sorry, I'm babbling.
It's I haven't heard of this movie, so I'm not sure, or I can't remember having heard of it. So
but basically what I'm saying is it's sports, and then it's the arts, and then it's academia.
Right. Academia,
and
sure.
And it just falls into line. Eventually, we're like, so we're going there, and it's basically aggression is best dealt with in a humane and reasonable way.
I definitely hope that you're right. I'm optimistic in my hope. I don't say I hope in a skeptical sense. I say it in the optimistic sense. I really do hope that you're right. There's a lot of stuff. I find myself saying this over and over again. There's a lot going on. A week from now is the deadline for Trump making a decision on the Iran deal.
Yeah.
There's a lot of talk here in Israel about home front preparedness and all different kinds of, that kind of talk going on in the air and everything. So it's really nice. And this is also, I just skimmed a few articles about the Giro, and this was kind of the prevailing theme that I got from everything I saw, is they say it's really nice to just kind of let all that stuff go, let all the politics go, let all the Iran talk go, and just for a few days, and especially for the people like in Jerusalem or in Tel Aviv who were crowded there with thousands of people, on the major streets with cameras and news crews and all that. They said for those moments, for those few hours, you got totally lost and caught up and focused on the race itself and the culture behind the race. And like you said earlier, they felt like they could have been in some European town, just any old city or village in Europe, for the atmosphere and the feeling. And so that's really, really nice that people are able to take advantage. And then there's the added effect that in the long term, it's another brick in that long road towards creating a better future. So I'm all for it. So Viva Italia.
Yeah, nice. Listen, man, I'm young. If I'm not optimistic, I can't wake up in the morning and work out and go to work and build something. You got to look forward to something. So here's to hoping that, this is more positive in the way of repairing whatever it is that we have here,
Yeah, we call it pedaling for peace. I'm still working on that. I just came up with it about 7 seconds ago. But yeah, hey, l'chaim.
Right, and go to the websites, go to the places, Facebooking and all that kind of, pluggy, kind of like shameless whatever bullshit. And if you like it, just go and find more. You know what to do. We don't need to tell you.
There's stuff you can click on, and there's all kinds of.
It's there.
The sky's the limit, really.
All right. Well, we'll be coming back to you with a new something sometime.
Certainly, yeah. At some time.
At some certain point.
Well, yeah, we agreed. We had a staff meeting. We said sometime.
Take care.
Bye-bye.